Congrats on getting beyond $1 million. What got you here won't always get you there. This is a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to reach beyond their 7-figure business and scale to 8, 9, and even 10 figures. I'm Brad Weimert, and as the founder of Easy Pay Direct, I have had the privilege to work with more than 30,000 businesses, allowing me to see the data behind what some of the most successful companies on the planet are doing differently. Join me each week as I dig in with experts in sales, marketing, operations, technology, and wealth building. And you'll learn some of the specific tools, tactics, and strategies that are working today in those multi-million, 8, 9, and 10-figure businesses. Life can get exciting beyond $1 million. Rohan Sheth.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming out, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's awesome to see you. You've been locked up in the frozen northern tundra for the last 2 years.
Of Canada.
I'm appreciative that they let you out.
Finally. I don't know if it's a good decision or not. We'll figure that out at the end of this trip.
Nope. That's great, man. So we've known each other for a few years through War Room, and we have a lot of overlapping clients too. So you work with a bunch of kind of high profile people making their marketing work. Why don't you give me a little background on that and fill in some of the gaps, because you've done a couple different things over the course of the last several years, but
yeah. So I got into this industry specifically because I was in sales before. I did direct sales for a long time, built door-to-door sales teams, and then built an in-home selling team selling like high-ticket education packages to families in like 90 to 120 minutes. Eventually got pretty damn good at sales. I got bored of like the art of one-to-one, and I wanted to go one-to-many. That's when I transitioned into the industry we're in now. And then eventually was just doing affiliate marketing for a bit. I really did not like that because it was a zero-sum game. It was me, myself, and the computer. I'm like, I missed the people aspect. As you know, I like to hang out and do some fun things at the same time. So I missed that part of it. I'm like, hey, what's the next best transition for me? I knew a door-to-door sale. I knew what I was doing in marketing. So I just went out and started door knocking and getting businesses and started running their Google ads at the time, because Facebook didn't even exist when I started doing this. And then one thing led to another, started to build an agency, built up, started to go from like small spa clients or laundry services or whatever to now working with some of the biggest brands and names in the industry. Today we're not only like a single network agency, we're a multi-network agency. So we run everything on the Facebook platform, Google, TikTok, Snapchat, native, Pinterest. Done a lot in the adult world as well in terms of running like some gray area traffic just for adult offers. And we became just the go-to from what it seems like in our space, at least, where a lot of notoriety comes from in advertising. And now it's transitioned into funnels, and now we're actually going in as fractional CMOs for companies.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always fascinated to look at the agency model. So agencies are good partners for us, right? We have overlapping both clients and also incentives.
Yep.
The better that the client does, the better it is for all parties involved, right? But what you just said, like coming in as fractional CMOs and like doing things, I feel like agencies operate different ways, and some of them are really just, hey, how do we scale out the framework and just take money? And the others are, hey, how do we share revenue in the proposition? What direction do you lean on that, and why?
So, for the longest time, we were just straight agency model, retainer percentage of spend. Like that was just the easiest scalable point. But now that we're going in with fractional CMO, we're going in a way where it's, yes, we have to get us a setup retainer, because we got to come in and rip everything apart. Like when we make an offer to do a fractional CMO, it's like we've seen so many friggin' holes that I think we would give the client a brain aneurysm on what they need to fix, right? Like that's kind of the reason why. So now we've come up, and this has only come because of need, people asking and kind of wanting to do it. So we went out and built a team for it. So now so there's a setup, and then on the back end of it, we ask for revenue increase, so wherever they are, some kind of percentage difference, or equity in the company. And that way it's like, then they feel like our skin's in the game just as much. And as much as we can charge retainer percentage of spend, that business runs on its own and does pretty well. It's like we want to have more skin in the game for clients, because we've seen and scaled so many clients so heavily that it's for ones that we can help make a bigger difference on. Well, let's do it in fair exchange. Give us a piece, we'll help you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's this is obviously not fair in all cases, but I feel like one of the things that I tend to say to people is marketers that are really good sell their own shit. And so if you're an agency and you're very good, inevitably what you want is the upside, right? You want to be, and you're like, hey, I figured out the system. All right, let me get the upside.
Yeah.
I like that. So you went from, were you previously a single platform and you went to multi?
Yeah. When I first started it was Google, then Facebook happened. So it was Facebook and Google. Then Google decided to have a brain aneurysm on their own. They had their platform issues that they're starting to come back out of. And then it was just Facebook for, holy cow, 4 years, like just Facebook, and spending an absolute shitload on Facebook. And then once Facebook, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, started to really kind of, after really the big shift when we started to look at multi-network would have been truly around like Cambridge Analytica time, when Facebook really got into some heat.
Yeah.
We started kind of opening that conversation, and then really doubled down about 2.5 years ago on going heavily in multi. Now everybody's talking about YouTube. We've already been scaling so many of our clients through YouTube before everybody else started talking about it. It's just kind of staying ahead of that curve. And now TikTok, and everybody's talking about TikTok. I'm like, we've been spending millions on TikTok for, the last few months. So it's like just kind of keeping ahead of what's actually happening.
Yeah. So they're kind of, first off, drop some names, because I know you've worked with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I think it's helpful for context. Name dropping is sometimes bullshit and sometimes very helpful to understand where you're coming from and who you're helping.
Yeah. So some of the clients currently that we work with are Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Mastermind.com. We're working with some ClickFunnels. We've also consulted their team. We consulted their team during the entire iOS 14 rollout on how to get fully integrated with their tech team and Facebook directly. If you're in Australia and you're watching this, Knowledge Source, who's the largest publishing company out in Australia, we work with them. And then, other clients would be like Super Connector Media. They're clients of ours. Dr. Sonia is one of our biggest rising stars in terms of female entrepreneur. We just absolutely turn her entire brand around. And most recently, Pete Vargas and Advance Your Reach, we've got them on as well and taken over all their traffic.
And I told you this yesterday. I've known Pete for like 22 years, which is crazy.
So Pete's a phenomenal dude. Like in the short time that we've gotten to know each other, like it's just been like, it's like we've known each other for a long time. Yeah. But it's like I've only really known him for a couple of months. So I think it's pretty crazy.
Somebody said something about Pete a couple years ago that I thought was funny, and they said Pete's a wolf in sheepskin.
Yeah.
Like he's such a warm, fuzzy, passive person, but no, he's a killer.
Yeah, he just goes and gets it. Yeah,
yeah, he knows what he wants. He's going after it. He's strategic about it. I love it.
Yeah, so those are some of our clients in the influencer space. Some of the clients that we've worked with in the past. My business partners consulted the Olympics, Sky Sports, Tennis TV, Premier Boxing Champions, ATP Tennis, so anything major sporting. And then we've done a lot in the SaaS space, software space, helped companies have some retarded exits in the software space. And that's when I realized, I'm like, I want a piece of this in the future.
Right.
Like even like 1% of a massive exit, I'm like, I want that.
Yeah.
So
tell me, like, I want to get some actionable things out, and you spend a lot of money to figure those things out, right? One of the cool things about your position is that you're spending millions of dollars on a monthly basis to test things functionally, right? And hopefully it's not all spent to test things.
Hopefully not. I don't think our clients would like that very much.
Right. Yeah. But you get to see what works and what doesn't. And then there's also the path of paid versus free. Paid versus just content distribution, right? So can you talk a little bit about like when one versus the other? Like when are you just trying to disseminate content and push to the different platforms and chop it up that way? And when are you like, hey, we're going paid and we need to go paid, and this is the only way to do it?
Yeah, so majority of our entire company structure has all been built around paid. Organic only really became a thing. Our focus on content and organic only really became a thing about 18 months ago. Because at the end of the day, before, when ads were cheap, Facebook was easy, everything was easy, you could have a shit offer, and I could just throw a shitload of traffic at it and it would convert. Like that's it was just that easy at some point in time. If you know, especially if you knew what you were doing in the advertising world. Now, that being said, I come from the world of doing direct sales. So it's like, you really need to have a proper offer to convert no matter what. And that's kind of always been in the back of my mind. And like, we started to transition into content and going into paid, like, we spend around $5 million a month minimum for our clients across the board. So it's like, we do get a lot of data. And the thing is, we're getting a lot of data from different niches. It's not just events or just info products. It's, like I said, from sporting to SaaS to info. So it's like, if something works in SaaS, why is it not going to work in info? And like, that's something that we were like very, very quickly looking at adapting. And that's when we start rolling things out for our clients. And that's what I think also what our clients really like too, is because when we see something, we just share it with everybody. Like, and that's the one thing we tell all our clients. Like, if we find a winning solution with you, we're going to take it and roll it out across our clients, as long as they want to do it. But then what we really started to do was it got to a point where when Facebook started to become harder, accounts were getting banned, all the craziness that everybody was looking at, I was like, why is this happening? Policy was one. So we became the go-to policy people, helping people get back on Facebook if they've been banned completely. With literally Dean Graziosi, the reason we were able to get him, he got into a bit of trouble with Facebook. We stepped in, got his entire account back for him. He was about to lose his personal account too. And, he's sung our praises because of that, because we just kind of knew what to fix to get it done, whereas most people don't. Transitioning to this year, it's with iOS 14 rolling out is, some people have like absolutely crushed it with iOS 14, and majority of the people have just absolutely died with iOS 14.
Yeah.
And that's where all this other new attention is going to YouTube and stuff. But in my head is like, at the end of the day, yes, things are going to change. Things are only going to get more difficult. However, what is the one thing that will never change is a proper offer and focusing offer with content. And that is exactly what we've really heavily transitioned into this year, is making sure offer, putting content distribution on top of it at the same time. So that way you're amplifying your audience in two different worlds and then scaling it. And it's like, a lot of the times where it's like, I will never tell a client to do something that I won't do myself. And that's what I doubled down with my content team personally as well. So
focus on the offer. You came from direct sales, as did I. What were you selling?
So I door to door, I sold gas, deregulation of gas. Then I sold like telecommunications, like internet, TV. And then from there, eventually I did a bit of B2B with merchant, Monaris.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's when I did door to door. And then in-home, I was selling an educational software for kids teaching kids how to get through K through 12 in school with the full curriculum, making sure that they get into college and university.
Got it. Okay, so focus on the offer. And I love that in general, right? If the offer shit, just shit.
Yeah. Like, that's literally, I would tell a client straight up, like, your office shit. They like come to me, they're like, oh, this agency burned me, or this agency couldn't make it work, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fair. I'm like, are there agencies that are probably shit? Yeah. But if you've been through like 3 or 4, maybe look at the common denominator.
Yeah.
Like, who's the common denominator here? And then it's like, then now we look at and take some time and put into the fact that, okay, yeah, your offer may be shit. Yeah, your passion and, you have a purpose behind your offer. Let's just go back and reverse engineer your offer and see what we need to fix.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So let's say that you think you have a good offer, and like let's assume for the moment, in general, our audience are people that have passed $1 million.
Yep.
So like they know that they have some sort of product market fit, right? People are buying their things. That doesn't necessarily mean the offer is dialed.
Nope.
It just means that it makes sense to some people,
yep.
Right? So from there, while you're trying to figure out, hey, can I scale it? What's the path for how much do you focus on paid versus free? What's the mix? What does that look like?
Well, majority is paid, because at the end of the day, the reason being is you put $1 in, you can get $1 out pretty quickly. With organic and paid, like even with this, it's like this entire setup for you, it's a compounded effect with free. So it's like we're continually doing free, but at the end of the day, majority of our efforts want to go into paid because I want to drive our clients a result in the shortest amount of time. That's what we're doing. So it's like I would rather delay a launch for a client, fix the offer, fix all the issues with it. While the delay is going on, just keep putting content out, teasing the audience to what's coming. And then eventually once launch is ready, now we know we can actually scale it with ads.
This is what I heard, meaning that paid allows you to drive traffic to the offer to see if the offer is functional.
Exactly.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. So that's been really our big MO on it. And one of the things that I really like to focus while doing that is making sure that the client is always educating. Right, educate, and especially in today's day and age, and COVID, in my opinion, the way I look at marketing usually runs in like a 7 to 9 year cycle, just like a stock market. Like you'll have your highs, you'll have your lows. And COVID expedited what would have been like 2024, 2025 in terms of the marketing cycle the last year. Like everybody had their biggest years, and then all of a sudden this year, those same offers are struggling. Why? But everybody's attention was online last year. Everybody's locked down. So that's the reason why all these crazy numbers you were watching, people's revenue going through the roof, etc., was coming from that. So now it's at a point where people really have to go back and figure out, okay, what am I going to do to serve that masses? But the easiest way to do it is educate for free on the front end before you start offering it. Right? That's legitimately something we've done. I've had multiple stories last year with clients where it's like I had a bit of a shit show during the COVID time happening with some family stuff, and then when I came back from it, like clients freaking out, all this stuff, and I'm like, the ones that listen are like, there's one that I tell all the time is he had a $15,000 offer. He was going to shut his office down, let go of everybody else. It already had let go of everybody else in his team. He was just waiting for me to come back. And I go, listen, what you were charging for $15,000, give it away for free. That's it. Like the entire thing is you're just giving it away for free. We called it like education through isolation. So it's like letting people educate themselves while they're being isolated. And your entire context is, I want you guys to learn what to do. So when you have a situation like this in the future, you're building your legacy. And the entire reverse engineer in that entire offer pitch was, I'm not taking on clients right now. And he argued with me for 3 weeks on doing this because he's like, I'm giving away $15,000 worth of shit for free. You retarded? I'm like, how about this? Do it. And if it doesn't work at the end of the year, whatever money you lose, I will personally pay you. Like that was my thing. And he literally said, all right, fine, did it. by the end of the year, because he was saying, I'm not taking on clients, I'm just wanting people to educate, he had his biggest year for done-for-you clients in 2020.
Interesting.
So that goes back, I know it's a very long-winded answer from paid to organic, but that's like just figuring out how to leverage it, both sides of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a scary proposition for people.
Very scary.
Yeah. Why do you think that worked?
So the big thing for me was during COVID, and I looked at this across the clients that, decide to not leave and kind of go down that road. Like, obviously, our bigger clients, they just spent the most money they've ever had. They just understood. It's like everybody else is pulling away. Let's spend more. Like, so that conversation didn't have to happen. But the ones that were, in that early 7 figures, close to 8 figures, they're like freaking out because they're like, they've seen their expenses rise. They've seen all of this stuff, like everything else go. But the one thing I've always understood is when a market's going one way, you have to go the other way, right? When everybody's pulling back, and you got to go the other way. Now, COVID was a very unique situation because I was fortunate enough at the time was when COVID hit, I had to take 6 weeks off because I just had a baby. My dad passed away. So I didn't really have time to focus on working time. And so in that time, I'm like looking and just kind of getting all this inundated knowledge of like what's going on in the market. And for me, coming from a psychological background and like understanding human psychology, really, I'm like, this is the best time to educate people. Everybody's attention. Think about how much time you spend on Instagram. Think about how much time you were watching YouTube videos. Obviously you live in Texas. COVID didn't exist there. But in Canada, it's a whole different world. But it's like, just think about that. And I'm like, what is the best way to get someone's attention? While everybody else is trying to sell you their shit, give yours away for free. And you've sold it for $15,000. So you're being authentic, saying, I'm selling this exact thing during normal times for $15,000. I'm giving it away for free.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that actually digital marketer did that ended up being very effective was exactly that.
Yeah.
So they gave away their programs for free during COVID, and they got some absurd amount of, functionally they're opt-ins, right?
Yeah.
They're free trials-ish. Yeah. But, tens of thousands in the matter of a couple emails.
Yeah.
And of course, later.
Converted.
Yeah. Because you build credibility, right?
At that point in time, it's like if you look at it from a consumer basis, it's like these were the guys there to help me when I didn't know what help I needed.
Yeah. Totally. I dig it. So I think one of the things that we see routinely, or that I deal with personally, and one of the reasons that I like talking to people that have lots of data points for higher performing clients, is the things that I tried to do as a business owner when I was just getting going. Not only were they different, but the way that I approached them was very different. The way I thought about marketing, sales, et cetera, operations, all different. And you could answer this for you or for clients, but let's answer it for marketing. So what changes when somebody's doing less than 7 figures, less than $1 million a year, to once they've passed that level or once they've passed 8, what's the difference in approach that you take for them? If
they're less than 7, my big thing that I have conversations with clients is let's just get consistency in income. And let's get consistency in income from advertising. So if you're spending $10,000 a month and you want to get to 40, let's just focus on that with, a simple return on ad spend. Don't act like you want to go and, compare yourself to the biggest names in the industry. Just scale properly. Because once you get to that 40, we can get you from 40 to 100 a lot quicker sometimes than we can get you from 10 to 40. Because during that 10 to 40 phase, they're going to learn problems inside of their business that they never had before. Operationally, what they need to fix, everything else, like customer delivery, support, all that other stuff. But then once we get from that 40,000 a month to spend, which usually at that point in time, they're getting close to that 7 figures. They've got consistent income. Their funnels they know they can rely on certain funnels, etc. And then we take them and then we just put fuel to fire and go from there from close to 7 to multi 7 figures very, very quickly is our goal from that point in time. But then when that transition happens from a marketing side, we're looking at how fast can we get as much audience share as we possibly can on the front end. So then that way we're going, multiple different offers depending on what the hook or the giveaways are, depending on what we're doing. If it's an event funnel, running it instead of running one event one time, let's run it over 6 weeks. The exact same thing over 6 weeks. Little different things, just looking at what's going on. And the big thing that we do in that phase of change is taking them from just one network to multi-network. Right? A lot of people, and this is, I've had decent run-ins and arguments with people where it's like, oh, you can take someone to Facebook and spend, $100,000 a day. Yes, you can. But I can also spend $100,000 a day between 2 platforms and get them going just as quick than trying to get Facebook to spend $100,000 a day. But then you continually chipping away and scaling at that. Now, have we done clients right off the launch where, we're $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 a day? Absolutely. but they're willing to lose a lot of money on the front end, whereas most clients don't have that ability to do it.
Right.
So we have to be very, very cognizant on KPIs, very cognizant on making sure that we understand what their sales team is doing if the sales is bad. Because, a lot of times sales will blame marketing will blame sales, but it's like, give me data. Like, all we run our entire company on is data, right? So then that way we know because if you're giving me data, I'm all giving you data back on, if we were able to do this with 40, imagine what we could do with 100. So it's just correlative.
Yeah, the first thing that popped in my head when you said that was basically once you've passed, like until you get to call it $1 million a year or a couple million a year, whatever it is, keep it simple.
Very.
And just try to get a return to figure out how to make ads work. It's in the paid world, right? And then once you get there, get complicated.
Not really complicated, still keep it simple, but just do one step at a time.
Yeah.
Like, we're known as the guys that can help you guys or help people go multi-network. And they come to us like, I want to do this, 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 and this. It's like, great. Have you done this and this yet? Or like Facebook and YouTube yet? And scale that to $100,000 a month? No. So let's just focus on that before we get TikTok and Snapchat and native. Because like, not only do you have to get more creative from the client, but then it's like, now it's different kinds of creative from the client. And there's different kinds of funnels for each platform depending on how it goes. Because TikTok's such a short attention span. So it's like you're spending a lot of time just to get one ad to work. Whereas like, at least if I can get Facebook and YouTube scaled at $100K a month minimum, let's just call it arbitrary numbers. Now I know no matter how long it takes me to get TikTok to work, you're still making money. Right? So it's kind of balancing that outcome in terms of how to do it properly.
Yeah. Okay. What's amazing right now? What's something that came up in the last year that you were like, oh shit, I didn't think that was going to work, but it is popping off for somebody, whether it's across the board or it's a unique example?
So the one thing that we did, I can't talk about the specific name, and people can put two and two together just because the NDA was insane. My lawyer's like, don't ever bring the name up in a conversation, but I'm like, I'm going to share the funnel because I'm like, we cracked this code. I'm going to share the funnel. So we did an event in February of this year for a big book launch. Started with this person working on this entire thing November of last year. And the entire goal for that was to hit the New York Times bestseller and the Wall Street bestseller on day one. That was her goal. That's it.
Damn.
That's it. So we did the numbers backwards, and we knew and then had conversations with her directly and realized she's going to do a one-day event. How on planet Earth are we going to do this on a one-day event? Try and hit New York Times bestseller, Wall Street Journal bestseller, whatever goals were at that point in day one. And then we figured it out was she could do it. She'd have to do a multi-speaker event, and we'd need at least 200,000 people live on this virtual event. This is while COVID's going on, right? So it's like, this is while COVID's going on. So we're like sitting there scratching around, like, how on planet Earth are we going to figure this out? So we went and mapped this entire strategy out, kept it very simple because she's never done anything online. Came from a massive world before in the enterprise space, and she's never done really anything online with her personal brand. Kept it very simple: Facebook, YouTube, podcasts. That's it. And by the end of it, we had 250,000 people live at any given time on that one-day event.
Crazy.
In February, ran for 13 hours. She ran the event for 13 hours, and in the end, did hit all of our goals. And as soon as that happened, I was just like, this is going to put us on the map on a whole different level, and it legitimately did. Because people are just like, how did you do this?
Right.
And where did you get this entire thing done? Because it was legitimately, we had our team towards the end of like the first 2 weeks of February, where it's like, there's 4 main guys on my team. They were not allowed to look at any other campaigns but that one campaign to make sure, because we were so close on numbers. It was like, either we make it or we break it. And it like they like eat, breathe, sleep that entire campaign just so that day of the event. And when we turned it on and we saw, because it was run on the East Coast, and then when we woke up on the West Coast and we saw the numbers, we were like, okay, I can breathe finally.
So what was it?
It was just literally just a one-day virtual event.
Yeah.
Pushing towards a book sale. And then eventually she had a bunch of big names that came in and spoke and hit our goals. She hit New York Times bestseller on the day of launch.
But what drove that? So you'll hide whatever you want to hide, but you've got this big launch that's happening. You've got a bunch of big names, which sounds like a good thing. How much of it was driving through sort of affiliate or their lists or these speakers lists? It was all paid?
All paid. All paid in podcasts. We spent $1.6 million in ads in 4.5 weeks for that run.
Okay. Paid and podcast, though, you said?
Yeah. Podcast was the organic.
Got it.
Because it was a book launch, because that's just the person that was behind her on pushing her brand just had really good podcast connects. I said, that's your organic play. Let us do paid. Just stay out of my way. Because at least this way, it's like if we can control everything on one side, on the paid side, I'm not worried about the rest, and we can just put our head down, ass up, and just get to work.
And what were the steps to the funnel unpaid?
So we did a pre-launch right after Thanksgiving last year, and that was just
American Thanksgiving or Canadian Thanksgiving?
American Thanksgiving last year. So it was like end of November, early December is when we started to kind of just do content first, so just content distribution. So she went and shot a bunch of content, and we just ran ads to that, just to kind of get our name out there.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was more of like a branding play.
Yeah.
So you're literally just pushing her.
And it was minimal. It was like minimal, like let's say $5,000 a week maximum.
Okay.
Like for most people that sounds a lot, but it's like when you're going for a big launch like that, it's like that's a very minimal. Going into December, we started to do waitlists, and we did a waitlist for book. Going into January, we started opening early bird sales to the book. So if you buy the book, you get a VIP ticket to the event. So we're going to correlate. So that way now not only are we self-liquidating some of that ad spend back, so people are buying stuff throughout the entire process. And then going legitimately into the middle of January, it was go. And then it got to the end where we were spending like $80,000, $100,000, $120,000 a day on multiple platforms. Like each platform we were spending.
And was the ask then to buy the book?
Yeah. All it was register, buy VIP, or buy the pre-sale.
Got it.
That's it.
And what about everybody else that you had drummed up throughout that process, right? So you had the initial like drive ads to somebody to watch content. Yeah. Was there a CTA on that stuff? Were you building a list there, or was it
just built her a massive list? She just literally she didn't care about anything else, nothing else. And I'm sitting there racking my head. I'm like, you realize how much money you're leaving on the table? But just enough money that it didn't matter. It was just book, which is good, and I really like that too. Because now looking back at it, was so one track minded that all we had to focus was on that. Right, so it made our lives a lot easier, made her life a lot easier, made the rest of her fulfillment team's life a lot easier. Now she's coming back around and doing launches and kind of looking at coming back out with a bunch of back end products and doing a lot more content amplification now with her brand, working with guys from Icon that I know really well, and they're helping that behind the scenes. So it's become literally for her, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, was, hey, I just want to do this to get my book out there, kind of get a little bit of notoriety because people know who I am, but they really don't know who I am. And then eventually now she's seen, the vast scale of things, of what's available in this personal development and personal brand world. And I think now she's transitioning to go into it.
Okay. So literally just the idea was, tell me about the logistics of this, because I think that when people put these things together or try to put them together, the devil's in the details, right? And so you're driving, she's shooting stuff that, not really targeted, right? Because the whole idea
very broad. It was very broad, but it was around the context of her book.
Got it. So good information.
Yeah, really good information.
But with no call to action, were you then grabbing that and retargeting that?
Retargeting that, and then eventually getting, obviously she had no audience, like never run any Facebook ads before. So you're starting from like ground zero.
Right.
So it's like we had to build, pixel audience list, we had to build a list, we had to build a retargeting, everything that goes into just getting things warmed up and kind of getting to that scale. Yeah. And we knew by the end of it, like if we weren't spending $80,000 a day minimum on Facebook and YouTube alone, we weren't never going to hit that. Like we just knew, just looking at the numbers, because we broke this entire thing down in terms of projections to what we needed to do and shared with them. So, this is what your best case scenario is, this is what your worst case scenario is. I want to slide somewhere right down the middle, because at least this way, it's like if we do hit worst case towards the end, we made it up at the earlier part of the campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, that's relevant in general. That's like usually my game plan is plan for the worst, plan for the best, recognize that neither are likely to happen.
And skim right down the middle.
Yeah, and like as long as neither happen, everything's probably still great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the big things that we're really excited. We rolled that across the exact funnel, not just towards a book, but towards different offers for a lot of our other clients, and it's worked extremely well.
Cool. So I love that. Right now, for somebody that's maybe on a platform, or maybe they've never done paid, where do you start? Let's say you've built a business past $1 million, you've got stability, you've got cash flow, and you're trying to dive into ads and figure it out.
Where do you start?
Yeah. What platform do you start on?
I'm still pro Facebook. As much as they make my life a living hell sometimes during the week, but it's like I'm still very pro Facebook. Is it a little bit harder of a learning curve right now? Absolutely. There's no denying that. The one thing I usually tell clients, like we got a lot of clients that are in the same space. They come to us or refer to us like, hey, these guys are doing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever. They've never done any ads. They've just done a really good job at, building up a content list, affiliate plays, whatever. And my first thing to them is go back, run your ads yourself for at least 90 days. Like, I know you have your operations team, but just trust me, do yourself a favor, run your ads yourself, because, whether it's me or another agency, somebody else may want to take your money. I could do the exact same thing and be like, yeah, I'll run your ads. But if you don't know what's actually going on behind the platform, you're going to question every single thing the agency does, or the agency may just kind of school you and just be like, oh yeah, you're getting this, but you're actually not getting anything. And the reason why I want my clients, when they come to me, to at least understand that platform, though, if anything happens, they know that they've also been there, so they can kind of relate to that outcome. So that's usually what I tell them. And then, people love the authenticity of that, because now they go in and actually go learn it, try it themselves. I'm like, even if you fail, you've got cash flow. Just go build a list. Just focus on like something simple. Or just email us. Just go, like, even if you fail at your ads and your cost per opt-in is ridiculously high, at least you've done it and you understand it. So when we come and take it over and bring that efficiency into you, you know where you started to where we can go. That's usually what I say. Just start.
Okay. Facebook's a starting point.
Yeah. Facebook's a starting point, and it's just the easiest, in my opinion, for someone to start. YouTube's great. I love YouTube. I love Google. You can get lost very fast in YouTube. Very, very fast. Like, when it comes to just kind of getting it done. And the one thing with YouTube, we realize your cost for anything front end is a lot higher in terms of lead costs, acquisition costs, whatever, but you get a better buyer on the back end just because you got so much attention with them. Where it's like, it's legitimately people are searching for something, you're putting a video, so it's like, it's intent-based marketing, really. Whereas Facebook is, you're literally marketing, and, someone's looking for the next anniversary picture, who's getting married or whatever on their Facebook, and you're kind of coming into them at that point in time. It's more pattern interrupt, whereas YouTube's very more intent based. So, but Facebook's just platform wise, still a lot easier in my opinion.
If you had to pick one other, so like obviously Facebook and Google are like the jam, right? Like it's the foundational pieces. But you talked about a few other platforms. You talked about Pinterest, which is interesting.
Pinterest does really well in the female space, really, really well. Or we use Pinterest for just kind of audience building. We don't look at it inside of our company as a conversion network. It's just audience expansion for network and ads. They're doing something there, even organically, with their video platform that's just blowing up. I think they're really trying to go after the TikToks of the world in a unique way. I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest, but I'm just seeing these random pages on TikTok just get like 1 million views, 800,000 views with like the simplest shit possible. I'm like,
it's crazy.
Something, either they're just opening up their algorithm or something, but it's like, it still hasn't made sense. And this has just been like since 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But because I just like usually like bounce around throughout my day and like see what's working, what's not, just because at least I want to study them from like an outside organic perspective, because then it's like, if it's organic, I know I can leverage it for paid.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, if there's one that I would say that's newer, if you can get your hands on an ad account and literally take the time to learn it, is TikTok. It is insane numbers that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a doctor that she's got a good pitch. She talks about sex and skin.
Yeah.
It's a good hook. But she had a video that she did that has 7.5 million views
on TikTok.
Yeah. And it's like a random thing that she just, it was her speaking on stage. Somebody else posted.
Yeah.
7.5 million.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. How do you feel about LinkedIn?
I like LinkedIn a lot. I am personally, as a brand, heavy organic LinkedIn. So I have a full team that manages my organic LinkedIn. As an advertising platform, great for B2B, but your costs are ridiculous. Like, you're like $6 CPC sometimes. Like, it's ridiculous. So you just got to really know what you want to get out of LinkedIn. If you're going to like focus on it, just focus on organic. That's my play. Just focus on organic.
Yeah, I dig it. That's what I hear about TikTok also is, right?
But you don't want to be sitting there and like shooting content. Like, it's not for everybody. But it's like, at least with an ad, if like you can shoot once or twice, or let's just call it 5 different variations of an ad. Now you've got time to throw money at it, even if it's like $5 a day or $10 a day or whatever. I can't remember what their entry level into it is anymore. They're always changing. But at least you're not having to shoot 50, 60, 100 videos for one to go. Like, some people's business just can't sustain that. Like, that's what people is like, they're so infatuated with the social media world. But it's like, figure out what your business can actually do and then leverage these networks the way they need to be leveraged. Like, can you be the next, Charlie D'Amelio and sit there doing dancing videos? Probably not. So, like, figure out what you're going to do. Educate. Even on TikTok, education works unreal on TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you want to be the one dancing on TikTok videos?
I'd pay to watch you dance on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm kind of a cartoon.
Yeah.
Cool. Tell me about how you do content distribution. like content capturing and then splintering, dissemination, like, because like all the platforms, all the places you have to put it. How do you create the creative? What's the path? Do you have like a format that you
So
use?
to be honest, I'm at a point where I've got an entire team.
Yeah.
That manages this entire thing.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I just look at content from the top down, like very 30,000 foot view, what I want to achieve with my content, and then I let my team figure it out. It's like, this is what I want to get done, get it done. And then we've got a couple consultants that help us now with my brand personally. So when it comes down to it, so one of the things that we focus on very heavily is long form content, just because there's so much going on in my day at any given time that it's like we just kind of started to record a lot of behind the scenes that most business owners wouldn't share. Then we take that and then, cut it down for Instagram or cut it down for TikTok. And those are the two other platforms that we really focus on. LinkedIn's going to be the one I think next that we're going to take over in terms of content distribution. And then the other way that we like to do it is something that we've recently done. It's called a 60-second podcast. This is a podcast. I love podcasts. They've done very, very well for me. But with everything else that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, I don't have the time to record, a 60-minute podcast.
Yeah, right.
Like if I'm here and someone says, hey, come on my podcast, absolutely. I'll go on anybody else's podcast. But for me to sit there dedicated recording 60-minute podcast, can't do it. Just because it's like not. So it's like we came up with the unique idea of a 60-second podcast. And it's literally people are loving it because because my audience is people that are busy.
Yeah.
So if I give them a piece of content in 60 seconds, they're going to watch that.
Yeah.
And I want that over and over and over again. So it's just finding unique plays on kind of doing things.
Interesting. Yeah, it's crazy how short the attention span is now.
It's nuts.
Dude, when you're scrolling, 2.5 minutes is a long time for me to pause. Like my scroll pattern gives me a few seconds. Yeah. Right?
And then you're done.
Totally.
Like, the same thing with me. It's like I'll open Instagram just to see if someone's DM'd me something. One scroll, see if I like anything. No, I'm out.
Yep.
Don't have the time for it.
No. And even if it's interesting, it's like it gets me for 17 seconds. Then I'm like, okay.
Or you read like the first 2 lines of their caption and all right, I'm done.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm like, I get the gist. Maybe I'll comment, maybe I won't.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Cool, man. Where can people find you?
Business side, growrev.com, growrev.com is my company website. If you want to kind of see my content, YouTube, it's just youtube.com/Rohan Sheth. And then Instagram is Rohan_Sheth. I'm very active on Instagram, probably the most. YouTube is where a lot of my teams highly produce content that we're sharing kind of business, what's worked, what's not. And yeah, company wise, anything, just reach out.
Let me ask you about Insta real quick, because Insta's like, I'd say a lot of people would say past its prime, in that there was a time when you could get organic reach, get traction. And now it's, I think, in a lot of ways, a gameable system, but you can also tell when people are gaming it. Yeah. How do you approach it? What works, what doesn't right now in September of 2021?
Interestingly enough, as you know, I built an entire platform for Instagram. I was the very first company that ever built an automation chatbot for Instagram. Had my own little issues with Facebook there. We'll talk about that on another podcast. But we were working with the biggest names in the industry, like when it comes to the Pauls, the Kardashians, whatever, and that they were using our platform. So one thing we realized was, like you said, gaming the system. Like that was something that we realized. We started gaming the system. We started looking at a lot of these influencers have these massive following on Instagram, but they're not directly, one, direct response goes back, not directly building the list, and 2, monetizing that list. That's when we built a platform for it. So it was like automation through Instagram DMs. Then DMs roll out, we create this platform. And then we started to realize that DMs, and it stands still today, where DMs is the highest point of engagement in all of Instagram. So if you can get someone to DM you something, watch your story views go up, watch your comments go up, watch everything else go up. Because they go DMs, comments, then likes. Like that's really? Something that we realized, yeah. So hence the reason why we started to do that. When we started doing that, our big clients were like, oh, I would get 100,000 views on an Instagram story. And all of a sudden I implemented this. Now I'm at 250,000 views per Instagram story. It's like, there's a reason why, because we're just gaming the fucking system. They don't tell you what you need to work on. And the one thing with Instagram, in my opinion, I think they're going to come back for another big run later this year, going into Q4 with all the e-com brands and everything else. And then going into 2022, because TikTok's taken so much attention. They've taken it away from them. And Zuckerberg doesn't like that. So he's just sitting there how to do it. And I know with Reels and everything else that everybody's double downing on, the views and the algorithm starting to open up again a little bit looser. But overall, for me personally, I don't look at comments. I don't look at likes. I don't look at anything else. I just correlate my content going out to business coming in within 90 days. And a lot of the times we can track, because I'll get a DM or I'll get a text message or I'll get an email from someone saying, hey, saw this piece of content from you, really loved it. But they didn't engage on the platform. It started there. but it went back off the platform. So everybody's so attached to that likes or that comments or whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Just keep putting content out. As long as it's good content, watch the business just flow. That's the thing with Instagram. And Instagram was really originally the way I built my personal brand in this industry, because I was one of the earlier ones in Instagram buying pages shout outs. So you couldn't scroll on Instagram in like 2016 without seeing my mugshot in your newsfeed fucking everywhere, because I was buying everything. Yeah. Because I understood that the attention there was so damn good, and just buying that out essentially.
I love it, man. That's a good nugget for a lot of people, which also stands to reason and probably is helpful in many other places as well. But when somebody is actually communicating with you, it would be a sign that's a different sign than a comment or a like, right? It's like likes now mean very little.
Very little.
Comments can be nonsense. Like most of my comments are, I'm like, well, this is how I think about it with friends, right? Friend posts some shit. If I just like it or love it or whatever, they're probably not even going to know that I did that. If I comment on it, they'll see me, right? But I can do an effortless comment by like doing a fist or like a heart or like
something, just a quick emoticon.
Congrats.
Yeah.
You know, like that's it, right? Which also is largely meaningless, right? If I reach out in response to it,
now it's a whole different level of connection.
Yeah. It's indicative of me actually caring about the post.
And that's something that I've always focused on in my content is I just want people to DM me, and I engage the majority, like 95% of people in my DMs. I'll open 100% of them.
Yeah.
5% of them are fucking useless half the time.
Yeah.
Or asking me for money, which I never understand. But it's like, if you actually like have something positive or just something engaging, even if it's like literally like polarizing what I'm saying in a comment because it's just got you triggered, I love it because it opens conversation, right? Like, but it still shows they care. Like that's really what it comes down to. So, and it doesn't have to be on the DMs. It could like I literally say a text message or an email or a phone call. And that the amount of times that's happened is wild.
Yeah. I love it, man. Cool. I appreciate you hanging out, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely, man. If you learned one thing on this episode, share it with another entrepreneur. They need to hear it. Also subscribe so that new episodes just show up on your phone. It's a lot easier that way. And if you want the really good stuff, check out our free BAM! Tactics and Strategies course. It's where we curate the best tips, tricks, and tools that our guests know, whether they've shared them on the podcast or not. Just go to beyondamill.com. You'll also find previous episodes and show notes at beyondamill.com.